attorney Laura Anthony, founding partner of Anthony PLLC, a full-service corporate securities and business transactions law firm. Today is the continuation in a LawCast series talking about Form S-3 eligibility. In the first LawCast in this series, I talked about the company or registrant requirements. I'm now beginning the discussion of the transaction requirements. Instruction 1B1 sets forth the requirement for primary offerings. A Form S-3 can be used for primary offerings of a company whose market value of voting and non-voting common stock held by non-affiliates is $75 million or more, including for the issuance and sale of new securities, or for the resale of already issued and outstanding securities held by third parties, including offerings by subsidiaries and standby underwriters in connection with the call or redemption of warrants, or for a class of convertible securities. Common equity is defined as any class of common stock or an equivalent interest, including but not limited to a unit of beneficial interest in a trust or a limited partnership interest. Only outstanding common equity is used in the calculation, and not convertible securities or common equity underlying those convertible securities. An affiliate of a company is a person that controls or is controlled by or is under common control with that company. The SEC defines control as the possession, direct or indirect, of the power to direct or cause the direction of the management and policies of a company, whether through the ownership of voting securities, by contract, or otherwise. Determining affiliate status is a facts and circumstances determination, and the SEC has indicated many times that it will not provide guidance on affiliate status. Clearly, executive officers and directors are affiliates. However, whether stockholders that do not otherwise have board representation are affiliates or not can be a troublesome analysis. A beneficial owner of 10% or more of the voting securities of a company is presumed to be a control person or an affiliate. 5% stockholders are required to disclose in a Schedule 13D or 13G filed with the SEC whether their shares are held for the purpose of influencing or changing control. Companies should review their own beneficial owners and consider all factors relating to affiliate status, including but not limited to the distribution of voting shares among all stockholders, the impact of a possible resale, the relationship between the stockholder and management, influence as a stockholder, and voting agreements. For purposes of determining the value threshold, market value is computed by using the last sale price or the average of the bid and ask prices as of a date within 60 days of the date of filing the Form S-3. The number of shares held by non-affiliates is usually determined as of the date of filing, but it can be any day within the 60-day look-back period. Also, it is not necessary to calculate the number of shares held by non-affiliates on the same day on which the average price of the stock is determined. For example, the number of shares outstanding on the date of filing might be used together with the average price of stock for any day within the 60-day look-back period. A company must meet this eligibility requirement each time it files an update to the registration statement. Accordingly, if the market value drops between updates, a company would need to switch to a Form S-1 or other form that it's qualified to use when filing an update. Also, a Form S-3 incorporates Exchange Act reports by reference. Accordingly, the filing of a Form 10-K is the equivalent to filing a post-effective amendment. That means that if the company is not eligible to use Form S-3 at the time of filing its Form 10-K, it would be required to file a post-effective amendment on whatever other form would be available to it at that time. A Form 10Q does not require a new eligibility determination. However, a company can use the same Form S-3 as updated and amended through subsequent Exchange Act reports or post-effective amendments to switch between a baby shelf and a full shelf based on the fluctuating market value of voting and non-voting common equity held by non-affiliates. And I'm going to talk about the baby shelf rule in this LawCast series. Prior to the recent change in the definition of a smaller reporting company, or SRC, the threshold for use of a Form S-3 for a full primary shelf offering was the same as that for an SRC. That is, prior to June 2018, SRCs did not qualify to use Form S-3 for primary offerings except under the baby shelf rule. Following the amended definition of an SRC, companies that qualify as an SRC and to use Form S-3 for a full offering, that is, companies with a public float in excess of 75 million but under 250 million, will be able to take advantage of the SRC scaled disclosures in their shelf offering statements. Unlike the baby shelf rule, companies eligible to use Form S-3 for a primary offering are not required to have a class of equity registered on a national exchange. In other words, a company whose market value of voting and non-voting common equity held by non-affiliates is 75 million or more and that trades on the OTC markets would be eligible to use Form S-3, assuming it met the other eligibility requirements. A company that qualifies to use Form S-3 for primary offerings under Instruction 1B1 may use that form to register the offer and sale of both an immediately convertible security and the underlying security. The fact that subsequent conversions may occur at a time when the company does not meet the transaction requirements for conversions, which I will talk about in this LawCast series, would not affect the initial registration of the offer of the underlying securities. If it becomes necessary to update the registration statement, the company may accomplish the update by incorporation by reference or post-effective amendment only if it then meets the condition for the use of the form. A Form S-3 cannot be used for exchange offers or other business combination transactions. Although securities registered on Form S-3 cannot be sold in exchange for other securities, the consideration is not strictly limited to cash. A Form S-3 would be available, for example, for transactions in which the consideration for the securities consists of promissory notes or services performed for the company by the recipient of the securities. I'm securities attorney Laura Anthony, founding partner of Anthony P. LLC and producer of LawCast. Should you have any questions about today's topic, please visit securitieslawblog.com and lawcast.com or contact me directly. Inquiries of a technical nature are always encouraged.